other causes. In 2013, the New England Journal of Medicine published a report revealing that we spend about $50,000 annually caring for each dementia patient in this country. That amounts to approximately $200 billion a year, twice what we spend on caring for heart disease patients and almost triple what we spend on treatment for cancer patients. Mood and anxiety disorders are also on the upswing and can be equally as crippling to quality of life as other neurological conditions. About 1 in 4 adults in the U.S., more than 26% of the population, suffers from a diagnosable mental disorder. Anxiety disorders afflict more than 40 million Americans, and nearly 10% of the U.S. adult population has a mood disorder for which powerful drugs are prescribed. Depression, which affects 1 in 10 of us, including a quarter of women in their 40s and 50s, is now the leading cause of disability worldwide, and diagnoses are growing at a startling rate. Medications like Prozac and Zoloft are among the most often prescribed drugs in the nation. Mind you, these drugs treat symptoms of depression, not the causes, which are flagrantly ignored. On average, people with severe mental illness, such as bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, die 25 years earlier than the general population. This is partially due to the fact that these individuals are more likely to smoke, abuse alcohol and drugs, and be overweight with obesity-related illnesses in addition to their mental challenges. Headaches, including migraines, are among the most common disorders of the nervous system. Nearly half of the adult population wrestles with at least 1 headache per month. And they are more than an inconvenience. They are associated with disability, personal suffering, damaged quality of life, and financial cost. We tend to think of headaches as being inexpensive nuisances, especially since many drugs that treat them are relatively cheap and easy to access. For example, aspirin, acetaminophen, ibuprofen. But according to the National Pain Foundation, they cause more than 160 million lost workdays each year in the U.S. and result in about $30 billion a year in medical expenses. Multiple sclerosis, a disabling autoimmune disease that disrupts the nervous system's ability to communicate, now affects an estimated 2.5 million people worldwide, with close to 500,000 in America, and is becoming increasingly more prevalent. The average lifetime cost of treating someone with MS exceeds $1.2 million. Mainstream medicine tells us that there is no cure in sight. And then there is autism, which has surged 7 to 8-fold just in the past 15 years, making this truly a modern-day epidemic. To be sure, hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent on these and other enfeebling brain-related ailments, yet we are seeing precious little progress. Now for the good news. New leading-edge science coming from the most well-respected institutions around the world is discovering that, to an extraordinary degree, brain health and, on the flip side, brain diseases are dictated by what goes on in the gut. That's right. What's taking place in your intestines today is determining your risk for any number of neurological conditions. I realize this may be difficult to comprehend. If you were to ask your doctors about a known cure for autism, MS, depression, or dementia, they would throw up their arms and say none exists, and may never exist. It is here that I part company with most, but gratefully not all, of my colleagues. We as neurologists are trained to focus on what goes on in the nervous system, and specifically in the brain, in a myopic way. We automatically end up viewing other bodily systems, such as the gastrointestinal tract, as discrete entities that have no bearing whatsoever on what goes on in the brain. After all, when you have a stomachache, you don't call a cardiologist or neurologist. The entire medical industry is characterized by distinct disciplines divided by body part or individual system. Most of my colleagues would say, what happens in the gut stays in the gut.